Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 100 of the Shauna Stitches Podcast. I am Shauna, and this is my crafty channel where I talk about all the things I've been working on lately. Today is November the 24th, 2024, and I think it's around 11. Yes, oh gosh, it's already 11:26. It's a bit later than I had intended on recording, but I will show you what caught my attention and kind of pulled me away from the podcast for a minute. As I mentioned, this is the 100th episode. That is so crazy. This is a big one, and maybe it won't be long. I have no idea, but I have a lot of really exciting things to show. So however long that takes is how long it's going to be. You might have noticed I'm wearing a finished object today. And sitting on this couch does not make for the best opportunity to be able to show you kind of like standing up and whatnot. I will try and get a photo that I'll insert here so you can see maybe the front and the back and whatnot. But this here is my Mabel sweater. This is a pattern by Locatelli. It helps if you say it as two words, not one. And this is all over 1x1 ribbing. Can you even believe that? And it's not just straight 1x1. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's not. How do I say it? It's half fisherman's rib. Holy moly! We've only started, and I cannot talk. So this is going to be interesting. Maybe I need a sip of my coffee out of my crazy sock lady mug. That will help me form my sentences correctly and my words correctly, hopefully. Okay, let's try this again. As I said, it is by Locatelli. It is 1x1 ribbing with some fisherman's rib. It's a raglan. That's the increase that you see there. And if you see those yarn overs, those are intentional. It is a design feature, how the increases are done. And what do I have to say? This pattern was very frustrating for me, not in the way it's written, but the gauge was what was frustrating. I think it's written to be knit on a 2.75 millimeter needle, and I could not get gauge. Maybe it was a 3.25. Anyway, it's pretty small. I ended up knitting mine on a 4 millimeter needle, and it's to gauge, like it's perfect. It is so perfect. It's the size I should have knit. For my bust circumference, and everything is great. It's just I had to knit it on such a much bigger needle, and it's kind of strange. Like, I know I'm a very tight sock knitter, and I am a tight knitter in general, but not that drastic. So I don't quite understand. I was not the only one having gauge issues. Eventually I just got tired of swatching, and I just cast on with the 4 and hoped for the best, and it's really come out great. As I mentioned, you can see those increases. I'm wearing a white long sleeve kind of thermal under this. That's why it looks white. Although if it were my skin, it would look about the same, especially there, not getting any sun. What else? Yes, as I said, it is long sleeve. I knit it exactly to pattern, except I added over 4 inches to the body. I'll try and just push this back a little bit and stand up so you can see a little bit. You won't be able to see my face at the same time, but this gives you a little bit better idea. There's the front. So she said to knit it to 10 inches, which honestly would have been like here on me. I am pretty tall. I'm almost 6 feet, not quite. So I added length, and I knit it to where I like my sweaters to end. My hip bones are here. I just like it a bit longer, so it kind of comes to around where my pockets are of my jeans. And you can see from the back, again, it's kind of like right where those pockets are. That is my happy spot for a sweater, a sweatshirt, anything like that. Being tall and always being cold, I don't like things short or drafty or something that's going to pull up. The other good thing, when you raise your arms in the sweater, it doesn't really come up a lot. So I'm very happy with it. This might be my favorite knit to date. I haven't worn it enough to say for sure, but it's really cozy and squishy, and If you're on the fence at all about knitting this, I highly recommend it. I didn't explain that Mabel's sweater the name is based on Mabel, is it Mabel Mora? I think is her character's name on Only Murders in the Building, one of my absolute favorite shows. And in the very first episode of the very first season, Mabel wears a all yellow textured sweater, very similar to this. And that is what Hohi used as her inspiration for this sweater. If I was going to go back and change any one thing about my sweater, and not the pattern at all, but just my sweater, I did the sewn, is it called sewn tubular bind off or tubular bind off? I'm not quite sure. The reason I call it sewn is because I did one, which if you check out my Ravelry page, I have a link on there to how you can keep all your stitches on one needle and then you sew off the binding. I use the same thing for the sleeves. It's super stretchy. Same thing for the bottom, also very stretchy. But I did the neckband first of any of the other bind offs. And I just pulled a little too tight. It fits over my head, but not fabulously. For sure, I have to take my glasses off if I'm wearing them to get this on. And I mean, you can see I've got some stretch, so it's not as if it's choking me or anything. And I do like my sweaters up here, but if I was going to go back, I would rip this out and I would redo it, but I'm not going to do that. The yarn that I used for this is Knitty McPurly in the Frankfurt Fingering light rose gold color. And I remember if you watched last episode, I said how much ever yarn I use for this sweater will determine how much of my other yarn that I want to dye for an unknown sweater project. And I cannot remember off the top of my head exactly how many grams I used, but it was roughly 350. So I think that means I will probably only dye 4 skeins of my other yarn, but I can't remember. So yeah, love this yarn. It's really great. The color's really great. This is not a color that Devin has as one of her 12 or so main colors, but maybe if you really wanted it and wrote her, she might dye it for you. I don't know. I'm kind of speaking out of turn. She hasn't told me that, but I know when I ordered it, it was like a custom order. So she was willing to do that. So it's something you can at least ask for. I did alternate skeins. I don't think I would have had to because I did alternate down the sleeves until basically the section I had ran out. So probably to about here. And so from here on is just one skein, whereas the rest is alternated. I don't think you can tell the difference, but that's a good thing, right? I forgot to say at the very beginning intro, links are down below to everywhere you can find me. That includes Instagram, Ravelry, my Ravelry project pages, my email, shaunastitchespodcast@gmail.com, Goodreads. What else? I think that's about it. Anyway, if I've forgotten something, it is down below because I copy and paste that from each one, so I'm not forgetting anything there. I feel a little scatterbrained. I just have so much to talk about that it all wants to come out at once. In fact, speaking of so much to talk about, I do have my laptop here. I should probably pull it out and make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So let's see. Oh, yes, I am kind of forgetting something. Let's talk about that. Since this is episode 100, I thought it would be fun to do a giveaway. It's going to be similar to some that I've done in the past. You're going to see 2 pictures pop up here. They are a picture of the same pile of clean hand knit socks. So based on those pictures, one is kind of a side shot of a mound of socks, and the other is a top down. Same exact pile. I didn't change anything. I didn't move anything. So in order to be entered to win, all you need to do is guess how many single socks are in that pile. So not pairs, single socks. I know some people are going to say pairs. It's okay. I can do the math. So if you say 24 pairs, I will put your entry as 48 socks. It just makes it easier on me if you go ahead and say how many single socks you think are in this pile. And just to be clear, 24 and 48 is not the answer. So I've just excluded 2 numbers for you. That might help your chances. So yes, leave me a comment down below and tell me how many socks you think are in the pile, single socks, and I will draw a prize in episode 101, and the winner will get to pick a Ravelry pattern of their choice, $10 or less. Okay, we talked about this. Let's see, I do have some other finished objects to talk to you about. You have seen them before, so it's not a new finished object, but I can finally show the actual design to you, which is very exciting. This here, you've seen before, but now you actually get to see it in all its beautiful glory. This is my own design, which I have called the Enchanted Lacewood Forest Socks. If you take the first letter of each of those, which this was not planned, by the way, and I love when there's a happy accident. Take each of the first letters, it spells E.L.F. Enchanted Lacewood Forest Socks. So these are the E.L.F. socks, or the long name, whichever you want to call them. I know it's not an elf, but they are little trees. And like I said, I designed this. I am very proud of the design, especially because this is knit toe up. It has to be knit toe up, which is not my normal preference, but for this design, that's the way it had to happen. And so it's a toe up, heel flap, and gusset, which is not the easiest thing to do. That being said, if your preference is a short row heel, you can definitely sub in whatever heel it is that you like best. For that matter, if you like a Flegel heel, whatever you can do toe up, you can substitute into the pattern. So the pattern is knit just on the front of the sock, although I'm sure you could do it on the back if you really wanted to. I wouldn't, but you could. It involves some lace. There are no cables. And it's a pretty easy pattern. Although there is a chart, you definitely have to follow the chart. I won't say it's memorizable. Let's see, I have a couple other iterations. The very first sock I ever knit in this pattern is this one. And there you can see, I feel like you can see the trees better in this lighter green versus the darker green. But the reason I reknit in this is a couple reasons. The first reason being I did either a fish lips kiss heel or a, what's the other one called? Anyway, short row heel. Gosh, that's really killing me because I've shadow wrap heel. That's what I was thinking of. I don't remember which one, but I literally came up with this design like 5-ish years ago, and I was going to publish it, and then I just kind of lost steam, and I realized I didn't really want to self-publish patterns. It's a process, and it's not my day job, and I really don't make any money from it, so I just lost motivation. Well then, I don't know if you're familiar with the free knitting magazine called Blocked, but Neil from Blocked was looking for some, not subscriptions, submissions. I told you today, my brain is not working. He was looking for submissions for some Christmas themed stuff for the very next issue that's coming out. That's going to be issue 18, which is going to come out sometime in the first week, sometime around December 8th. And that's going to be free in the magazine. And so like I said, I have the toe up heel flap in there. That's going to be free, and the whole pattern, the chart, I linked to a couple videos. All that should be in there. And so I'm super, super excited. So it's the best of both worlds. I can design, and it doesn't cost you anything to knit this, except for, of course, you have to have yarn. And yeah, anyway, if you do have questions at all, you can always reach out to me. Oh, like I was saying, the other reason I reknit this in a different yarn is because I thought it'd be nice to have something that is accessible to everyone. So if you are looking for a Christmassy type sock, which this does not have to be Christmas themed at all, but if you are, this is a yarn that you can still buy. This is West Yorkshire Spinners in their, what's it called? I don't have it written down what kind of, but it's just their sock yarn. The green color is Spruce and the red color is Rouge. So the pattern will be out in 3 different sizes. It's going to be 56, 64, or 72 stitches. This is the 72 stitch sock, my husband's size. Exact same yarns. And the only one I didn't test knit was the 56, but it's literally just based on a chart, so it should work out perfectly. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. Go ahead and look out for that issue to be posted, like I said, in around the first week of December. I'm so excited to be able to like finally show those and talk about them, and it's not a mystery anymore. So let's see, let's talk about works in progress. I have so many things I cannot show you, but I can show you their packaging. So the first work in progress, I'm just going to show you the package. Don't worry, I'm not spoiling anything. This is the Freckled Whimsy 2024 Advent 24 stripe sock yarn, and I decided to take some of the December stress off of myself this year, and I knit these. I cast them on as soon as they came in the mail, and I do not regret that decision at all. I have one sock done, and I have finished the cuff and one stripe of the second sock. So I'm hoping these will be done in time that I can wear them in December. That would be fun. Although I won't be showing them. I will not show them until December 25th. The other work in progress I have that I can't show you is the Cozy Knitter, same thing, 24 stripe Advent. I just finished the first sock this morning. I still need to weave in the ends, but I did Kitchener to the toe, and I need to start the second sock. So for the Freckled Whimsy, I'm just doing a plain vanilla, nice and easy. For the Cozy Knitter, I decided I wanted to do something a bit different. And although I cannot show you a picture, I will tell you it's coming out good. I wish I would have done something different, but let me tell you what I actually did first. So I wanted a 2x2 rib sock, but you know, if you knit the whole thing in 2x2 rib, where the color changes are, where you have the purl stitches, you'll get that color blip. And if you knit one round in the new color, you will not get the color blip. But for some reason, I thought it would be a good idea to knit both the last row and the first row. So essentially I have 2 knit rows before I resume the ribbing, which is causing kind of like a little bit of a waffle texture. I really like it. The hard part is, how do you know exactly when to start a last round of a stripe? It's definitely up to interpretation. Some of mine I have started a bit early, some I've started a bit late. But it's all working out just fine. Now let me tell you what I wish I would have done, and maybe not even do the knit rounds. I wish I would have alternated the knit 2 purl 2 on one stripe with a purl 2 knit 2 on the next stripe, so every other color it would jog the ribbing. That would have been really cool. So if you're watching this now, you haven't cast on yet, and you would like a ribbed sock, maybe you will try that and I will be able to see what it looks like, because in my head it looks really cool. I can't wait to show you how that is looking. As soon as I get my ends woven in today, I'm going to give it a try on and see. But I am very excited because in general, a ribbed sock fits really well. A ribbed sweater fits really well too. I am so cozy in this thing. I love it. All right, let's talk about something I can show you. The next project I cast on was kind of an impulse cast on, but it's something I've also been thinking about for a while. This here is the Incredible Blanket by Purl Soho. And for once, I cast on exactly how many stitches they told me to. So it's not going to be a huge blanket. Normally I'm like, go big or go home. But when I do that, I never finish anything. So we're going to try and start a little smaller with this one and see what happens. I am thinking about this as one of my Advent projects this year. The reason I decided to finally just cast on, even though I've been thinking about it for a long time, is because every time I get an email or happen to see Purl Soho having a sale of their linen quill minis, I am so tempted. I want those minis so bad. But you notice I just looked off to the side here because I just took a glance at my stash and I do not need to buy those minis at all. So I cast on with my scraps and I absolutely love it. So far, these are all either speckled or solids. There is one that I did a self-striping, and you'll probably be able to see that. It's the yellow and the orange. So the first stripe was a yellow, and then it went into the orange. I don't think it looks bad, but I don't think I'll do that again. I'm not going to say I won't use self-striping, but I think I'm going to start cutting the sections apart because each stripe, it's a 2-row stripe, takes 3 grams. So I'm pretty sure with most self-stripings, if I just cut 2 stripes of the same color out, that should be probably 3 grams. I don't know. It's going to take some experimenting. But yes, I'm really liking this. I am doing what they recommend, which is to weave in the ends as you go. And I don't know how I feel about that. I don't feel like they're super secure, but also I don't want to weave in this many ends. So for now, I'm going with it. I'm hoping that it's going to be okay. I wonder in the end, I've never tried this before, but I know with steeking, you can use a sewing machine. So I wonder if I just, at the very edge here, do a sewing machine stitch to kind of just lock those in. So if they ever did come loose, it wouldn't be an issue. I don't know. It's a thought. And maybe it will be just fine. So yeah, I'm definitely going to work on this some during the Advent season, as well as my Cozy Memories blanket. And I'm still really on the fence about whether or not I'm going to start my resplendent shawl at the beginning of December or if I'm going to wait a bit. Lisa from 72 Stitches mentioned that she's waiting until after she opens all of her Advent packages so that she can, I think she wants to put hers in a fade or in some kind of order. And if you know me, you know I love random. So I don't think I'm going to do that, but I might wait at least a few days to see which of the Advents is leaning in the direction more of the way I want to go, because it's impossible to know how it's going to end up. But ultimately, I would like something a little more tonal or solid or speckles, but I don't want a highly variegated, and I don't know. Honestly, all the Advents I have might just be variegated, and that might just be the way it comes out. I'm not sure. I guess we get to find that out later. Let's see, what else? From the last episode, I have not worked on the Colorwork cat hat with the letterback jacquard. I haven't worked on that. I also haven't worked on the Serene. There's Serene socks that I'm knitting as a gift, but I hope to work on those soon. There's always so much to do and so little time to do it in, but this upcoming week is Thanksgiving week, and I get 5 whole days off as long as everyone in my city can be good and I don't get called in. So keep your fingers crossed for me. I would love 5 days of knitting. During that time, actually the day after Thanksgiving, so Black Friday this year, is my husband's birthday. So trying to get ready for that. And I think we'll be putting up our tree also. So the thing that caused me not to cast on, yes, I'm going to talk about a cast on. The thing that caused me not to podcast as early as I wanted to was a new cast on. And of course it's getting all tangled up. That's what happens when you are holding 4 strands together. Let's see here. This is the meager beginnings of what's going to be a Kindle sleeve. So this is just a Kindle cover without a Kindle in it. It's sparkly, kind of. It's hard to see. All you see is my ring light. Hopefully you see some sparkle. it's not important. But yeah, this is called the Sturdy and Cushy Kindle Sleeve by Studio 885 Knits. And she recommends in her pattern to use DK weight held double. Instead, I'm just using 4 strands of fingering. So I am pulling from the inside and outside of this undyed cake of Knit Picks Chroma Twist Fingering, which they do not make anymore. 1 strand of this Premier Serenity sock in the color Chili, also discontinued. And the last strand is this Ice Yarn mini sock, which is variegated. So my colors together are this, and I could not be happier with how the fabric is looking. So there is another little close-up of what it's looking like. And it's a free pattern, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the stitch pattern. It's super easy. It's just slip stitch with the yarn in front. And the designer says, she thinks, I think it's a she, they think that it's looks like a woven fabric, which is true. And being 4 strands together, it's a pretty thick, and like she says, it is definitely sturdy and cushy. So I think that will be really nice. As you know, this year I have really set to being a reader again, mostly on my Kindle. And as I say that, I forgot to bring something in, but that's okay. I don't need it. Yeah, I think that is all the knitting I have to show you. Well, that's not completely true. I have another thing to show you, but you've seen it before. So the other exciting thing that I have to tell you about is that behind the scenes, myself and 11 other ladies have all been working very hard on projects for the purpose of creating a calendar. So in 2025, Blocked Magazine has come out with a calendar, and I am the month of August. So if you will remember, I knit, look at my holes, and this was for the calendar. So I did a fun little photo shoot with my husband out on the beach and got a really nice photo, I think. And that pattern is by James N. Watts. So if you go look at James's photo, finished object photo, and then you look at mine, they should look very similar, and that's because I was trying to emulate that photo. And that is the final photo for the calendar. So if you would like me to keep you company for all of August, go ahead, and the pre-orders open now until December 10th. You can buy a fully printed calendar that will be shipped to you, or you can buy a digital download and then print it yourself. So that being said, I have a little video that Neil created that showcases all of the months, and the music in the video is provided by a friend of his. So I don't know this person, but it should not be a YouTube issue. And it's probably a song you've never heard before. So I'll go ahead and insert that video here. Okay, so that is so exciting. I hope that you liked that little sneak peek preview. And if you're wanting a new calendar for 2025, I encourage you to go do your pre-order now. I just thought that was so fun. I've never been part of anything like that, and it was a really fun experience, especially to see it all come together. I think it came out so professional looking and just really awesome. So thank you, Neil, for putting that together, and thank you to the other 11 ladies who participated. I just really had so much fun. So life stuff. I don't have a ton to talk about, I don't think. That's the problem. It's 2 weeks, and then I'm like, what happened in the last 2 weeks? Although if I did it daily, I probably could remember. Work's been work. It's been actually really busy, and I'm ready for it to slow back down. I'm on the verge of getting some kind of cold. A couple days ago, I just had the worst sore throat, and it's kind of coming and going. I woke up this morning with my chest just feeling heavy, but so far it hasn't manifested into anything terrible. I'm hoping I can stay not sick through the holidays. That'd be great. Although it is just going to be Glenn and I at home. We're not having anyone over. We're not doing anything fun, and we're not going anywhere. So it wouldn't be the worst of things. Other than that, I mentioned that Glenn's birthday is coming up, and that also will be a low-key event, but it'll be nice to share that together, and we actually both get the day off, which has been so few and far between lately. Let's talk about some books that I finished. I finished All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Bryn Greenwood, and that was a book that was recommended to me. The person who recommended it, she said, this is a sensitive topic, and it's kind of related to what I do as a job, and she wasn't sure if that was something that I would want to read. And I have to say, I actually really enjoyed the book. It was one of those where you just want to keep reading, you want to find out what happens, but there's that other part of you that's like, this is so wrong, but also I'm rooting for it. So like, it definitely messes with your head a little bit. The content didn't bother me, just because, like I said, I'm exposed to a lot at work. So I guess read with caution. Maybe read a bit about what the book's about before you decide if that's for you or not. But I enjoyed it. The next book that I finished was In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros. And I mentioned that I was reading that last time. And I got the book. It was on sale, and I do like Rebecca as an author. This was no Fourth Wing, but it was also a lot more based in reality. It's not a fantasy book at all. And of course, it's still a love story, which are not my favorite, but I did enjoy the book. It's pretty good. Now I'm reading two different books, and the thing that I said I forgot to bring in here is actually a physical book. I almost exclusively read on my Kindle, but I do have a copy of A Stash of One's Own by Clara Parks, and that's a book all about different people's perspectives on yarn stashes. And if you do not know, I do have a different series of videos called State of the Stash, and my yarn stash has been something that I have been trying to curate isn't quite the right word. Basically, I love to buy yarn. Buying yarn makes me happy. When I'm stressed, I buy yarn. And I have a lot of it. So for me, it's kind of this conflicting feeling. And I do wish I would have brought that book in here because I highlighted some things throughout, which I also never do. But this book is so good. I highly recommend A Stash of One's Own. I'm only on page, 60 or 70, something like that. It's about a 200-page book. But so far, so many of the stories have resonated with me. And so I cannot remember how many authors there are in the book, but each chapter is written by a different person in the yarn world. There's designers, there's knitters, a lot of names of people like I've definitely heard of. So I thought that was kind of cool. And just hearing how they feel about their stash, how they choose to stash or destash, what it means to them, kind of how big their stashes are, It's so interesting. And again, I cannot remember who the quote is from or the exact quote, but one of them talks about how, um, a stash is like a knitter's inspiration. It allows them to cast on at 2 in the morning if they want to. And anyway, it resonated with me so much. So that being said, as you guys know, I've said it before, I do love my stash. It just became overwhelming isn't exactly the right word, but I knew at the trend that it was going in that it would be overwhelming very soon, and I needed to kind of nip it in the bud. So yes, I have been better about buying yarn, although it still comes into my house. So unfortunately, I don't know her first name. Lazy Lemon Creations on Instagram. She was talking about how she does not need to buy any yarn in 2025. I've said it before that I won't buy yarn, but I do think that if I have other people kind of on the same journey and we can compare notes, I think that could be really good. I know Lisa of 72 Stitches also said that she would like to maybe not buy yarn next year, except for a couple things that she has already earmarked as wanting to buy. So those are things that I'm thinking about. I like reading that book. I like seeing other people's perspectives and just knowing that I'm not alone in my love of yarn. And if I just look at all the YouTube videos out here, the Instagram posts, I know that I'm not alone in loving yarn, but it's just nice to hear it from other people, I think. And I am reading one more book. I really got off on a tangent there. The other one that I'm reading is called A Very Bad Thing by J.T. Ellison. And if I remember right, that was a Kindle first. It could even be from November. I'm really enjoying it. It's a murder mystery surrounding a writer, and the writer ends up dead. So we don't really know how or why or who or any of those things. But I'm also very early on. I think I'm like 13% in. So I cannot wait to read more of that and find out where it's going. All right. I think I'm looking around me, making sure I didn't forget anything. I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to know about my other episodes, make sure that you do subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Also, likes and comments are greatly encouraged. Don't forget to figure out how many socks are in that pile and leave a comment down below of how many socks you think it is. The person who is closest without going over will be the winner. I'm going to pick one winner for a $10 or less Ravelry pattern prize. I hope that makes sense. Yes, I always forget to explain like what the winnings are and how to go about it, but I should probably put that in the beginning too. So yes, leave me a comment down below and tell me how many socks you think are in the pile, single socks, and I will draw a prize in episode 101, and the winner will get to pick a Ravelry pattern of their choice, $10 or less. All right, thanks so much for being here. I will talk to you all soon. Bye.